Happy Wednesday, everyone. So AMD and SpaceX dropped their earnings last night. Whoo, man. Mighty, a little bloody across the board, right? We got SpaceX currently down 8 percentage points right now. It's 11:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. AMD is down 6.38%. We did get a nice little bounce at market open, but a very much fade off right now. Not to mention AMD was very much down close to 11% yesterday before the actual earnings phone call. After the earnings call, the stock did recover a couple percentage points, but when the actual earnings ended up dropping yesterday at 5:15 Eastern Standard Time, the earnings call was very much a little later. Actually, nope, I was wrong about that. The earnings dropped at 4:15, and it was 5 of the actual earnings call. Pretty sure it was around that time period. Either way, it doesn't really matter because AMD did drop earnings, and there's a lot of stuff to go through them today in this video that I kind of really want to talk about. Not to mention, if you did not listen to the earnings call, me as an AMD shareholder, I did listen to it. It's very, very boring. Like listening to just the first like half hour is just all numbers. By all means, do something to keep yourself occupied. I was actually in my kitchen making dinner, and yeah, just do something to occupy yourself. Even playing a video game. It's really all about the Q&A and last earnings from three months ago ish. It was actually in the earnings call that the stock ended up breaking out because of what Lisa Su pretty much was saying. They dropped earnings. AMD 3 months ago was actually down by 5% and then very much recovered. We're seeing very much the opposite now. The stock has not recovered. So why did AMD pretty much go down? Well, let's go ahead and talk about a lot of things. As always, if you want the most accurate information, you go to the investor relation page of any stock that you own. It's a publicly traded company, which means they need to follow rules and regulations. If they don't, it could very well be a delisting, not to mention criminal charges as well, too. So always go to pretty much their page, and I grab every single thing from their page. So a lot to basically pretty much cover. Looking, and by the way, if you go to their page, you can pretty much click on several different things. You can click on their presentation, slide presentation, which is absolutely great. For the sake of today's video, because I want to make this video under, let's say, 15 minutes, I actually got to hop off and go out to an appointment momentarily, so got to record this one on the shorter side. Welcome if you are new. I put out videos on this YouTube channel Monday through Friday. Saturday, I upload free educational content. Typically, my videos are between, I want to say, like 20-25 minutes, but today's going to be a shorter one and straight to the point. And yeah, so there's various different ways, especially if you are new to the stock market. You can see their slide presentation. You can see just straight their earnings and pretty much just look at everything. So before we really guide into earnings, understand what the street basically pretty much wanted, okay? The street really wanted a blowout earnings. Primarily, they were looking for very much the forward guidance, okay? The forward guidance in the sense of what do you project your revenue is going to be in the future. Being utterly a blowout would be like around... Honestly, it would be over like 15 billion of what a lot of people, very big people on the street, Wall Street, would really consider to be blowout. Obviously, above 13, that would be very much higher and above expectation. But getting what pretty much analysts expected, which was about 13 billion, that was the future guide, okay? Understand that was the future guide, and AMD came in and pretty much gave the future guide. Now, AMD last night, they triple beat. And I'll say that again. They ended up triple beating. Like, there is nothing wrong with the earnings they dropped. But picture this. Picture that you go to you go and see a movie, right? And I've been in this situation so many times in my life. One of the reasons why I don't go to movie theaters anymore, because they're friggin' overly expensive. And I'd rather honestly just pay for a movie either at home, which is a lot cheaper. And let's say you go to a movie and everyone is basically, before the movie comes out, right? Before the movie pretty much comes out, everyone is hyping up the movie. Everyone is hyping up the movie. Prime example would be, let's say, Star Wars episode 8. Yes, episode 8. Episode 7 with Kylo Ren and Rey, for any of my Star Wars fans back in 2015, I believe. A lot of people hyped up that movie, and I mean, by all means, Star Wars episode 7, it was pretty good. Star Wars episode 8 was hyped up, and it sucked. If you are a long Star Wars fan, it utterly sucked. I saw that movie literally crammed into a theater. I was actually with one of my ex-girlfriends at the time. We were basically crammed into a sold-out theater, and the movie sucked, okay? It was terrible. Utterly terrible. That would be the equivalent if AMD came in below guidance, okay? So the numbers coming good, and pretty much the guidance comes in below of what is projected. Their guidance were not a triple beat. You're talking about a double beat, but it's not a triple beat, right? Guidance is not good. Very weak guidance, right? Terrible movie. Now let's go and say that you go to a movie and it was like, wow, you know, this movie is exactly what I thought it would be. It wasn't bad. It wasn't overly good. It was still good, but it wasn't something better than ever, right? That is basically pretty much what happened to AMD. And that's really the equivalence of like Star Wars Episode 7, in my opinion, okay? Now let's say you go and see a movie in the movie theater, and it is like by far a blowout, the best movie you've ever seen. A movie for me would be like Resident Evil. I'm talking about like the OG Resident Evil movie back in like 2001, 2002. That was better than really expected, in my opinion. Actually, Resident Evil 2 was better than expected, okay? A blowout movie for people like myself, right? So AMD did not have a blowout guidance where, hey, if you were theoretically, let's going to the charts here, theoretically, if you were, let's say, buy the rumor, sell the news, and you basically pretty much bought all this up at 430, maybe 440, and the stock ran as high as 525-ish, well, it would be buy the rumor, sell the news if you believed that AMD would not come in with, like, you know, blowout numbers and stuff, right? A lot of traders do this. I'm not trading AMD. I'm a long-term shareholder, and I still see the long-term vision around AMD indefinitely for the next several years. The company grew. I mean, there is nothing wrong with this growth as well. The only other concern, basically, pretty much, is that their operating expenses pretty much grew. That is something that a lot of bears are basically pretty much saying, is that, hey, R&D is definitely growing for AMD. This can definitely be a concern, especially since the guide wasn't something crazy. If your cost of operations are going up, but you have blowout like expectations on revenue and you have blowout demand, prime example, let's say Micron, for example, MU memory stock. You can also throw in SanDisk as well too. If your costs are going up, but your guiding is just absolutely crazy, that's where it makes sense. And that's where a lot of people, they basically pretty much say, okay, sure, your R&D is going up, your cost is going up, but the guide on revenue is definitely there. It makes sense, right? Coming in with what the street pretty much wanted of like 13 on like a guide for the rev, it's just pretty much, hey, you know, we got the number we expected. They did a triple beat, by all means. There's nothing wrong with this company at all. But you obviously have the stock price reacting because it wasn't a blowout in that sense. So this is just one of many, many prime examples. You can have a company just executing, 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 executing. The tiniest little thing that is laughable can very much affect the stock price. Now, where is the stock price pretty much heading, in my opinion? I believe that AMD is going to be experiencing the same stuff that SoFi basically pretty much experienced as well too. Before I really get to that, I kind of really want to talk about SpaceX. So SpaceX, I did listen to their earnings call as well. Talk about some marketing for NVIDIA. So Elon Musk basically came out and said they're not going to be buying pretty much AMD chips. They are going to only be buying NVIDIA because NVIDIA is the best chips in the market. Okay. First of all, SpaceX is really not a large buyer of like AMD compared to Meta, OpenAI, pretty much many other companies as well. So is it really that big of a factor, or is it just some handshaking deal? On the flip side, you got to really remember that Elon Musk is definitely up there, where he probably has Jensen, NVIDIA CEO, on speed dial. Yes, people, CEOs do talk behind the scene, and it wouldn't be surprising if Jensen said, hey, maybe I'll give you all like a little bit of a discount, or maybe, I'll prioritize your orders. Can you please, say that NVIDIA is like the best? Now, are NVIDIA chips really the best? It really depends who you ask. I mean, me personally, I've always used NVIDIA chips when it comes to gaming, when it comes to performance. And that's just because that's what I've always used. Sure, you can definitely look at the chips that AMD are going to be rock and rolling, especially on the gaming side. Very much debatable. But politics does happen when it really comes to like, CEOs and it's crazy because we have companies in the stock market like the semis that are just very high because of companies buying their products. Like you got Amazon, Google, and Meta, and Microsoft. So that's one thing about SpaceX. SpaceX, I'm not buying. If Kathy Wood wants to go ahead and buy more, sure, Kathy Wood, be my guest. Buy more. In my opinion, I'm probably not going to become a SpaceX shareholder until the next couple years. There will be a point in time where I actually buy SpaceX, but not anytime soon. So, what do I mean by AMD could be like SoFi? So SoFi has a lot of delayed reactions. Very much delayed reactions. Not to mention SoFi is very much following pretty much like monetary macroeconomics, inflation data. Obviously, oil is below $80 a barrel, where we might be getting a peace agreement in the Middle East. All that good stuff affects SoFi. But SoFi tends to very much have a lot of delayed reaction after their earnings. I mean, I've been in SoFi for, to be honest, almost like 3 years now, going on well over 2.5. And SoFi, after their earnings, they very, very much have a lot of earnings of delayed reactions. Very much last July was a delayed reaction. Many times before, very much a delayed reaction among their earnings. And AMD, in my opinion, could very well follow suit. If I really had to take a guess on what could get AMD to move higher, it's honestly going to be NVIDIA's earnings. And why is that? Because NVIDIA is going to come in at the end of this month and basically pretty much reassure that the chip trade or the chip investment is very much still on. So what can AMD do right now? It can just consolidate on the charts. Let me put it this way. A lot of long-term investors like myself, consolidation is a good thing. It's your best friend. It's not bad. Traders absolutely despise consolidation because traders want to move in and out of stocks left and right. especially if you have options or you're gambling in a way on stocks like AMD. You want things to move either very violently upward or very violently to the downside, depending which way you're pretty much betting on the stock, right? So on the daily chart, AMD could very much consolidate. The MACD moving average conversion diversion is very much on a bearish trend to the downside. The RSI relative strength index, we're at 47. We're not oversold. We're not overbought. It's a coin toss of which direction AMD can go to. We go on the weekly chart. We are very much on the weekly chart, still very much overbought, way above the 50-day moving average. On the MACD, we have started the bearish crossover, so we could definitely pull back significantly. Relative strength index 60, very much on the higher side. So for the next couple weeks, AMD could very much just consolidate and stay, range bound on sideways. The good thing is that AMD ran up by close to 10% yesterday, and we gave all that gains back. So we really didn't lose. If you go back 2 days ago on AMD, you didn't really lose any more than we gained, so to speak. But on the weekly time period, AMD, maybe for the next month or maybe several weeks, if it just stayed sideways, you're going to see the 50-day moving average on the weekly chart catch up. And that's going to be very, very bullish. So, yeah, there's going to be a breakout to $6, $7, $8, $9, $1,000. AMD, long term, it's in my opinion, it's going to go there. But obviously, it's not going to go there overnight. And AMD just has to come in and do what they've been doing and very much execute. Overall, me personally, I'm not disappointed about the guidance at all. They are growing. Their growth rate is a hyperscaler growth rate, definitely above 30%, which is considered a hyperscaling growth rate, very much like SoFi. So, hey, for me as a growth investor, I'm in SoFi, AMD. I can even throw up Robinhood up there as well, too. Same with Palantir. All my stocks are reporting phenomenal numbers. It's just that, hey, the market sees a little bit differently. The market needs to digest some stuff, and we'll be taking it from here. So, as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, definitely smash the like button. I will see you guys tomorrow for a brand new video. Tomorrow, I'll probably go over my public profile, definitely more in detail. I have more time in tomorrow's video. Stay tuned for more content, and later.